I do want to I do have another fake news story here that we're following. I want to make sure we get to as well. This one I thought was really interesting. So folks know that I write the Gaslight Gazette, where I cover some of the fake news, character assassinations, and censorship in news media. And so one of the things I came across, interestingly, was apparently the Department of Homeland Security, which to me always has been like an Orwellian name, dating back to the War on Terror. But nonetheless, the Department of Homeland Security, they decided to take up fact checking about ICE and ICE protests. And I don't think he'll mind me saying this. I shared it with Mickey Huff this morning, and he was saying that what we should do is go through it and grade it, and give it a score about whether or not they pass in this fact checking. But it's a really interesting insight into something that I want to get your guys' take on, which is that media literacy and fact checking have become so politicized
Mm.
that now, and I know we're going to get a bunch of crap for saying this, but a lot of the fact checkers, I don't, I would suggest people are very skeptical of them. A lot of these folks, it seems to have not interest in following truth, but promoting some ideology. And I think you see that here in the Department of Homeland Security. And look, the reason I say that is I'm not even an expert on all these claims that they're supposedly debunking. It's not that I'm challenging their approach here, but my point is that they pull these headlines out and they put visuals of the headlines on there. We'll pop it up on the screen for people who are watching this on YouTube. And they don't say what outlet it's from. So it's like, are you debunking a claim from someone's like blog? Is it the New York Times? Like how prevalent is this claim? So that's the first part. There's no sources cited, which any education in general, let alone media literacy in particular, would tell people, you should be able to cite your sources. But then kind of relatedly, they go through and they try to debunk the claims that are made in the image of the headline. But when they debunk it, they don't have any sources either. There's nothing cited. So, regardless of whether or not you believe the Department of Homeland Security or you reject the Department of Homeland Security, you really have no evidence just using this website for either claim. I mean, I guess for the educators listening, this would probably be a good example of media literacy in itself. But I don't know. What do you guys make of the Department of Homeland Security telling us what's true and false?
Well, I feel like it's not even a media literacy issue. It's almost just like a citation and evidence issue. I mean, we go over this in my college 100 level composition class of, people say things as if they're true. They say, oh, everybody knows that blank. And I was like, who knows that? Tell me who knows that. Tell me how you know that. I pretty much tell my students, if you had to go to Google to get this information, you need to cite it. If you think that this information came from somewhere else besides your, like, the sky is blue, then you need to cite it. And it is funny because there are so many things that students are like, well, I just remember it from somewhere. I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but go show me where you can find it now. Because 9 times out of 10, what happens is students come back and they tell me, oh, actually, what I remembered was a misremembering of something from years ago. And so I think that's extremely important, is just the ability to actually be able to come with evidence to a situation is a foundational skill, I think, that people need to learn, or that didn't learn in kind of like more of like a composition class or argument class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciated this article that you shared, that you alerted me to, and it made me think about kind of the sleight of hand that the arbiters of truth can do. Like the example in the article was, I think it gave one of the examples. It gave a CNN headline, something about less than 10% had serious convictions, and then the DHS countered with 70, you're wrong, actually 70% had convictions, and they just left out, they didn't specify what conviction it was. And so it's just, yeah, it's sort of this sleight of hand that's obscuring the truth. And yeah, I think that if you were to get some independent analysis, unrelated, like, yeah, from outside sources, it would really show that discrepancy. But yeah, a lot of people who, I mean, yeah, it's just like, media literacy is so key here, and it's kind of this like this fact checking is not actually improving the media literacy. It's just telling people what to believe, and it's not protecting us from misinformation. It's just kind of weaponizing it again. Um, yeah, if only these it's an ideal world, but if only fact checking could actually really build media literacy and sort of teach critical thinking, that would be a difference, I think.
Yeah, I always thought, I always agree with that point. That was one of my big frustrations during the moral panic over fake news. A lot of people were making a lot of money by labeling themselves disinformation experts, and they started these like for-profit fact-checking entities, and the whole time, those of us in the media literacy world, well, I guess those of us who are not corrupt in the media literacy world, we're saying, that, yeah, you're not teaching them anything. Telling them what's true and what's false, giving them a list of acceptable, non-acceptable sources isn't teaching. That's indoctrination. When you give them the skills, they can determine the veracity of content for themselves. That's media literacy. You don't need some outside entity. And plus, I don't know. I grew up reading a lot about the Cold War. Just the whole idea of lists seems like really McCarthyite to me. It freaks me out
Mm.
in that.
Yo, detoxers, this is the Disinfo Detox. Want to keep media literacy alive and kicking? Chip in at patreon.com/disinfodetox. Broke? We get it. Just like, comment, follow, or share. Even your hate helps the algorithm. Thank you for supporting the Disinfo Detox, where media literacy meets breaking news.